In the early 2000s, Nigeria was under a severe grip of counterfeit drugs, resulting in several reported deaths. Patients went to the hospitals and pharmacies to get drugs, but instead of getting well, the conditions worsened. The problem was deeper than initially thought. Fake, substandard, and counterfeit drugs was a mafia business in Nigeria, with well-established networks of distribution across the country. But the situation changed when the late Professor Dora Akunyele took over the leadership of the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC). Hers was not just an institutional battle, but a personal one, having experienced a tragedy due to counterfeit drugs. And then the pushback began, with the destruction of counterfeit drugs worth billions of naira, relentless raids on illicit drug markets, and the blacklisting of companies involved in the importation of fake pharmaceuticals. Akunyele's administration also fostered international collaborations that put pressure on foreign manufacturers, particularly in India and China, to uphold high-quality standards before exporting drugs to Nigeria. Over 15 years after, Nigeria is back in the grip of the fake drug mafias, who not only produce counterfeit drugs, but import substandard ones while repackaging expired products stored in homes, warehouses, and different markets in Aba, Ibadan, Kano, Onitsha, Lagos, among others. You may sometimes blame the hospital for causing avoidable death after administration of prescribed medicines, but they may actually not be at fault. Reports of fake and substandard drugs flooding Nigerian markets have surged. NAFDAC, the leading agency in regulation of drugs and food, has come under the spotlight. In an interview with the Director General, Professor Moji Adeyeye, she outlined a number of system changes the agency has embarked on to ensure Nigerians stay healthy.
We have what is called global benchmarking tool. There are 9 modules in that tool. From registration, what we call market authorization, to market control, which is what we are doing now, to pharmacovigilance, to laboratory testing, to clinical trials, to regulatory inspection, to lot release for vaccines. You cannot build a strong regulatory agency without a system. We started with quality management system. We became SOP-driven agency. We got trained for a year and a half, and we got certified, and that was the beginning of the journey. We became self-auditing agency, meaning this is the mirror. We are looking at ourselves. Where have we failed? Even though they have certified us last year, how can we become better? It's a continuous quality improvement.
However, when asked why there is a surge in fake and substandard medicines in Nigeria, this was her response.
But it's not just that. We are not the only agency responsible for substandard falsified medicines. Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, they are responsible for licensing all sites where medicines are sold and re-licensing them every year. But what happened? The patent medicine dealers that are richer than pharmacists, because they sell anything. Fake, so they get more money than even the pharmacists. And how did the patent medicine dealers become crowd. Before I left the country, we have very few patent medicine dealers. Then they removed it from PCN, that control. They are mandated to do it. They removed it and gave it to states. It became what you want to do to local governments, patent medicine dealers, you are registered. So we brought this on ourselves as a country. And patent medicine dealers took Pharmacy Council of Nigeria to court for 10 years. And when something is in court, you are limited to what you can do. That was part of the problem. People think NAFDAC is is the only agency for controlling substandard phosphate. No! It's Pharmacy Council of Nigeria.
An insider in NAFDAC told AIT News that the system that ensured close monitoring of importers has lacked over the years. For instance, regulators from the agency were sponsored on regular monitoring and verification visits to factories abroad where drugs were imported from, ensuring both external and internal grip on the production, export and clearing chains. The lapses were blamed on lack of funds. Okorafor Franklin, a pharmacist, insists the regulatory framework has to change if Nigeria hopes on turning the tide against the fake drug mafia.
Of entry. Are they porous? Yes, they are porous. Why are they porous? Nigeria has a very wide landmass, which has become impossible for our customs and the other agents to control. So there are open borders where drugs come in from outside the country. Then what are the ports of entry that are within the purview of our customs agents, our NAFDAC, and the other regulatory authorities, like the seaports? We have challenges there. The challenge now, criminal practices by some foreign manufacturers. So many of them are very good, excellent, but then, of course, like in every place in the world, there are criminals. And they practice the criminality where it is easy to get away with. If you make an unwholesome product anywhere in the world, and you want to take it to the US, for example, or you want to take it to Germany, for example, you think twice. You're not likely to get in. Or you want to take it to UK. You will seriously think twice before you start pushing the product there. But you are a criminal somewhere in the world and you want to push an unwholesome product. And you remember Nigeria. Nigeria will be a very good place to go to. You have a population of 200 and something to 300 million and counting. And then from Nigeria, other West African countries come in to pick some of the product. So you have a population of going over 350 to 400 million people. So Nigeria will be a target. And then you now look at not only the regulatory controls, you look at the habits. Can you get away with it? Anybody who can get away with crime is, if he's a criminal, he will go. So the ease of getting away with criminality in Nigeria is one of the reasons we have very high levels of fake products. Criminals don't go to where they will be caught or where they will be challenged. To close the gap of fakes is for you to make your products in Nigeria. Because when you manufacture most products in Nigeria, you know the house of anybody. You know the manufacturer. You know even his father. You know the school he went to. You know his antecedents. The factory is there for you to walk in anytime and check. So it becomes easier to regulate. But when 70%, 80%, 90% of the products coming into consumed in Nigeria are imported, then we have a serious problem in our hands.
But beyond this is the need for Nigeria to heighten diplomatic pressure on countries where the bulk of the fake pharmaceuticals are imported from, a policy NAFDAC says will ensure stricter quality control measures before drugs are shipped into the country.
Working through foreign affairs to ensure that country-to-country discussion and agreement will go a long way. These drugs do not fly. They are not spirits. They come through ports and borders. And most of the fake drugs are imported. Very likely many children have died because people that intentionally put zero content in a medicine for a child. Zero content. They are murderers. Zero content. They will treat the child and treat the child to pass away. And they will say it's Abiku or Banje or whatever. No. We caused it. The unscrupulous merchants caused it. And that is why we are strengthening our regulation. That's why it has taken us a good time, and it's still taking us because it's continuous building, laying solid foundation. So if I leave this position, whoever is taking over after my term, if the person wants to shake the house, it will be tough because of the foundation.
The World Health Organization estimates that substandard and falsified medicines are responsible for thousands of deaths in Africa every year, with Nigerians increasingly falling victim to ineffective and dangerous medications. The pressure is piling up on NAFDAC and other regulatory bodies to up their game. Ogom Ezedimbo, AIT News, Abuja.